Hello, good evening.
Hello. Oh, what's up?
Yes.
Hi.
Um, do you know where is Josephine Phuc?
I don't know. You have to
Mm,
wait. Checking it.
she hasn't joined yet. Okay, so anyway, yeah, let's just have a quick chat, Phuc, while we are waiting for her. So, how's your day, Phuc?
Uh, it's just like it's too normal. Like every
It's just
day, I just wake up. I do my homework, and then I play. I play game in the morning. Then I sleep. What? It's
Oh,
repetitive.
okay.
It's repetitive.
Okay. Well, you seem to have like a good time to like relax. So when's your classes back? When are you guys going back to school, Fuck?
I don't know about it. I just don't care. I
What do
just
you
don't
mean you
care about
don't
it.
care? Do you know or you
Yeah,
don't know?
I don't know. I
You
don't
don't
know
know.
when.
Okay. You got to know because maybe one day you will be surprised because um you're supposed to go back to school already. But anyway, yeah. Josephine's here already. Okay, so yes, let's start with our lesson for tonight. So, yeah, can you hear and see me well, Josephine?
Yeah,
Okay, great. So, how are you, Josephine?
I'm quite well.
You're quite well. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so anyway, let's get started, guys, with our lesson for this morning then. Sorry, evening rather. So let me just prepare our activity. Okay, so here, okay, last time we ran out of time actually. So we will now continue with part three of our speaking test. Okay, so let's continue with talking about like keepsakes. Okay, because last time we talked about like what are the things that your parents kept for a long time. Okay, so for today or for tonight we will continue discussing and talking about these things, and yeah, but we will start with part 3 for tonight. Okay, so we'll start. Our first question here will be, what things do families keep for a long time? So again, what things do families keep for a long time? Let's start with you, Fuck.
Uh, wait. What can you ask the question again?
Okay, so
Uh,
again, my question is, what do families keep for a long time?
mm, my family has kept an old necklace from for a long time. It was passed down from my grandmother. It reminds uh, it has a lot of like sentimental value to my family, such as good photograph. For example, wait, can I start the answer again? Wow,
Okay, sure, sure.
long.
So again, what do families keep for a long time?
My family tends to keep things that have sentimental value, such as old photographs, letters, and jewelry. For instance, we have a no necklace that was passed down from my grandmother, although it isn't particularly expensive. We keep it because it reminds us of her and represents our family's history.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yes. Next question. So this time, let's move on to you, Josephine. So, what's the difference between things valued by people in the past and today?
Well, I think that people in the past may value memories, such as memories and the moments with their family and their friends. They could see their friend as someone who is really who are really important to them. But nowadays, maybe people will focus more on other things like people's interests, their ability to earn money, or uh, are they rich?
Mm-hmm. Okay, yes. So next question is what kinds of things are kept in museums? Phuc?
Mm, from my perspective, museums usually keep a wide range of things depending on their purpose. For example, history museums often display ancient artifacts, old documents, and traditional clothing, while art museums tend to preserve something like paintings and sculptures. These objects are usually kept because they have historical, cultural, and artistic value.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and last question, Josephine. What's the influence of technology on museums?
I'm sorry, I just distracted. Can you ask again?
Okay, again, what's the influence of technology on museums?
Well, I think that technology has brought a wide range of benefits for museums, such as helping museums to become more convenient and can be easy for people to travel in order to contemplate their artistic masterpieces, such as having an elevator and maybe a film for them to see, and many other things like um, playing games in a museum can also be possible.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yes, thank you. So this time, let's move on to giving a feedback, guys. Okay, so for our feedback, let me just, yeah. So, oh, okay. So for the feedback tonight, guys, let's start about the focusing on the content as well. Okay, so this will be our list of questions for tonight. Sorry. For by the way, just a quick reminder, the questions that I raised earlier, they are actually part three questions. Okay, so in general, I'm actually expecting for longer answers. That's one. And then another thing is, it would have been better if you guys could have, let's say like describe further on your responses, because this could actually help a lot in developing the in developing your responses in general. Okay, so yes, just a reminder. Okay, so it's really important, guys, that you have to make sure that for part three, we need to come up with longer responses. That's a very important thing. Okay, so let's have like, yeah, feedback for each one of you. Okay, so let's start with you first, Phuc, since you're the first one to um start or talk about your answers. Okay, so for your responses, Phuc, let me write down first. Okay, so so far, Phuc, for the positive ideas or for the positive side or positive feedback, I like your ideas, Phuc. Okay, so I would write here that um you let's say like relevant main ideas were given, and then um these are these were explained, these were explained. Okay, so yes, that's for the general um the general feedback here, folk. Okay, but let's continue this time about like the things to improve, folk. Okay, so I want to highlight also about like things to improve. Okay, so wait, just write it here. So for the things to improve, it's really important that we do the following, folk. Okay, so wait. Okay, so here, like, for example, what you need to do, Folk, is I put here is that you need to keep your focus. So needs to keep your focus. Okay, because what happened here, Folk, is that like at the beginning of the of your response, you seem to ask the question again. So take note that in the real exam, of course, this one's a big no-no because it can affect the way that the examiner will have let's say like will may give like a not so good impression about requesting the examiner to repeat the question for you. Okay? And the next one is one way to also like do or to avoid asking the examiner to do it again, because I think you understood the question after I ask it for the first time, Phuc. So before you answer, this is really important. So before answering, make sure to organize your ideas. Okay, so that's the reason why we have the paraphrasing of question. So while you paraphrase the question, Phuc, then you start to organize them that, okay, my first idea is like this. My second idea is like this, and so on. Okay, so that will help you to buy some time. So again, paraphrasing, it's not just about following the Venn descriptor, but at the same time, we are also describing, or we are also like it also helps us to buy some time. Okay, and then lastly, Phuc, is make longer responses. Okay, because what happened here, Phuc, is that although, as I have mentioned in the positive side, that you have a good response or overall response, Phuc, meaning like I like your main ideas, but the problem here, Phuc, is that um your responses were actually like limited. Okay, so it would be better if you could have like longer responses, or at the same time you could explain your ideas better. Okay, so that's for you, Phuc. Now, this time, let's move on with your responses this time, Josephine. Okay, so let me also write down my feedback for you. So, for your answers here, Josephine, let's start first with the positive aspect as well. Okay, so for the positive, Josephine, so, you sound very confident. Okay, so sounded very confident, which is really good because take note that in the IELTS exam, one of the things that the examiner is also like looking at is whether or not you believe in yourself or you believe in your responses. So sounding confident can really give a boost. Okay. And then another thing is that you use like good lexes or good lexical resources. Okay. Which means that your vocabulary, Josephine, are already good. Okay. So let's move on this time about like the things to improve, Josephine. Okay. So for the things to improve, I'd like to start first with the one similar to Phuc. So make your responses longer, Josephine. Okay. So make longer responses. Because what I noticed earlier, Josephine, I'm not sure if you're distracted when answering, but when you answered the second question, like the difference between the things that valued by people in the past and today, you were able to describe the differences, or at least like some of the differences, Josephine, but it feels hanging, meaning like I cannot feel that it's complete. Okay. So in this case, Josephine, what I would suggest is try to expand better. So remember, guys, when we had our discussion for part three, you need to come up with at least two main ideas or two main reasons for something. So if you're gonna give me like only one, so that's still like possible, but it wouldn't be very effective. Okay, so let's try to, how do we say, like, let's try to think of other ways to boost our responses. And then another thing that I would suggest here, Josephine, is that um wait. Actually, I think this one. So making longer responses, and yeah, as I have mentioned, like avoid hanging responses. So same question. Towards the end of this question here, Josephine, you seem to have like hanging response. So yeah, let's try to um avoid that one. Okay. Are we clear? Any questions, guys? Is everything clear? Or do you have any questions for clarification?
Uh, for me, I think it is clear.
Okay. Great. How about you, Fook?
Mm, I think it's clear for me, so
Okay. Yes. So
it's all right.
if all things are clear for both of you, then let's proceed with our part one practice then. Okay. So for part one practice, um we will start with we will be having two topics, by the way. Okay. So we will start with the first topic, which is about like walking. Okay. So same thing with the one that we did earlier. So I will ask you one by one for each question. So let's start. Okay, let's again, our first topic will be about walking, and we'll start with you, Josephine. So do you walk a lot?
Um, yes, absolutely. I think, as you know, after a monotonous day-to-day routine. I usually work for a short distance with my mom, because I see that this activity helps me to relax and breathe in the fresh air, as well as helping me to be close to nature, which really um, allows me to um, improve both my physical and mental well-being.
Mhm. Okay. Next one. Let's move on to the next question. Do you often go outside to have a walk when you were a child, Phuc?
Mm, yes, I definitely did. When I was a child, I had much more free time. So I often walked around my neighborhood or went to my friend's house on foot. Sometimes my friends and I would just wander around and talk for hours without having any particular destination.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yes, thank you. Next question is why do people like to walk in parks, Josephine?
Sorry, can you ask the question again? I'm
Okay.
distracted.
Yeah, no worries. So yeah, my question is why do people like to walk in parks?
Well, I think that is quite clear. People want to really keen on working in parks because they want to breathe in the fresh air, socialize with different people, and make friends with them, which will help them to release their stress and let their hair down after monotonous day-to-day routines. I think that is so amazing to work while socializing with people is really amazing, and you know brings a sense of relaxation.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yes. Thank you. And last question for the first topic. Where would you like to take a long walk if you had a chance, Folk?
For me, I think I'd like to take a long walk somewhere in the countryside, preferably in a place with beautiful natural scenery, like in the river. For example, I'd like to walk along a quiet path surrounded by trees, mountains, and rice fields. I think it would be a great way to escape from the noise and traffic of
Mm-hmm.
my place, like the industrial one, and just enjoy some peace and quiet.
Uh-huh. Okay, yes. So next one is let's move on to the next topic then, which is about typing. Okay, so let's answer this question. Do you prefer typing or handwriting, Josephine?
Well, I have to say that I prefer to type on my keyboard rather than typing. Rather than handwriting, because typing helps me to um, typing smart help me to improve my typing accuracy, as well as my speed, which will really suitable to today's modern world. So overall, this will bring me a lot of benefits, such as help me to gain a deeper understanding of timing, as well as help me to time my work and my essays more conveniently.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yes. Thank you. So next one, let's move on then to the next question. Do you type on a desktop or a laptop keyboard every day, Phuc?
Of course, I usually type on my desktop and laptop both every day because I have to learn for the exam, or sometimes I always type things related to my study, like some essays and homework. I have to get accustomed to typing because I will take the what like the IELTS exam that I have to write on the computer.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yes. Thank you. And the next one is, um, when did you learn how to type on a keyboard, Josephine?
Well, I first learned how to type on a keyboard when I was in primary school, but just to a limited extent because at that time, um, technology wasn't widely integrated into traditional teaching methods. So most of my lessons were conducted using traditional methods, teaching methods with blackboard, but nowadays, when when I have started to prepare for the IELTS exam, I have to learn more about typing, such as how to improve my typing accuracy and speed, which will help me more in improving and preparing for my computer deliver IELTS exam.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yes. Thank you. And next one, let's talk about the last question. So, how do you improve your typing, Folk?
Mm, for me, just like I would wait. I can answer it again.
Okay, okay. The
Please.
question is, how do you improve your typing?
I improve my typing mainly by practicing regularly. I often type essays and assignments on my laptop, so I naturally get faster and more accurate over time. Sometimes I also use online typing exercises to practice my speed and learn to use the keyboard without looking at it. I think the most important thing is simply to practice consistently because the more I type, the more comfortable I become with the keyboard.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yes. So okay, let's talk about your the feedback then. So I just want to highlight first, Josephine and Folk, that in general, I think all of your answers were all good for the first part. Okay, anyway, this one's pretty easy, or the topics that we just had were pretty easy. So I believe that you guys didn't have like much trouble explaining and developing your responses here. I just want to describe a few things for us to let's say like develop, okay, or a few things that, or a few reminders in general. So for this part, I will not give like a one by one feedback for each one of you. I'll just give a general feedback, and I will suggest like, yeah, I will just suggest a way on how you guys are going to overcome these things. So yes, let's talk about them then. Okay, so let's start. Again, these are the questions. Okay, and then we'll talk about the feedback then. First things first. Again, we'll talk about the things to improve in general. So I'm not gonna do it like one by one this time because I think this should be done for by both of you. Okay. So just I would say this one's a reminder for everyone. So we'll start first with let's say like some phrases. Okay, so an example of that one is um for example, let's say like the phrase um as you know. So earlier, Josephine, you used this one. Okay, so wait, let me just note here. So avoid using the following natural fillers or expressions. Because take note, the phrase like as you know, I would say this is actually a good filler to start. Okay, however, in IELTS exam, this should be a no. Okay, so we'll start with as you know. So why is it not allowed to use as you know? So it's because in this case we have to remember that the examiner does not know us. Okay? So that means we cannot assume, okay? So do not assume that the examiner knows you, knows you. So that's why like we cannot use the expression as you know. Okay. And then another thing is actually if you think about it, this is actually not bad. Like for example, as mentioned earlier, so if you think about it, this is actually not a bad phrase or natural filler or a statement. But take note that this may have or may possibly have a negative like impression with the examiner. So why do I say it may have a negative impression with the examiner? It is because it means it seems like you think that the examiner is not listening to you. Okay, so especially, like in IELTS speaking, sometimes like you cover some points. So, for example, let's say like whether you like to drink coffee or tea, and then maybe you have completed or you have a detailed response on the first question. And then the follow-up question talks about like maybe something that you have already answered in the previous one. So instead of saying, as mentioned earlier, or as I have said, let's just try to avoid these things, guys. Okay, so maybe what you can do instead is try to put it in other words, use synonyms, or use other expressions so that you don't give or you don't say or you don't use this expression here. Because again, even if it's just a natural expression to describe your thoughts or to describe your answers, but it wouldn't be a good thing to say, because again it may make the examiner feel that you are yeah, that you are or he or she is not listening. So let's just avoid that one. Okay, so this time is let's move on to another thing to improve also. Okay, so this time this one's about you, Phuc. So talking about avoid making fading sounds. Okay, so what do I mean by fading sound here or fading voice here? It means that while you are saying something, Phuc, it seems like you are not sure about some parts of your answer, or maybe you are sure with your answers, but it seems like let's say like you are hesitant to say or you're hesitant to complete that thought. Okay, so again in IELTS speaking, so same with what I have mentioned earlier as my feedback to Josephine in part three responses, talking about confidence. One of the things that the examiner is looking at here is, aside from, of course, your English proficiency in speaking, but at the same time, whether or not you're confident and you understood what the question was all about. Okay, so here giving a fading voice or a fading sound may give the examiner an impression that you're not quite sure about your answers. Are we clear?
Oh, I got it.
So is everything clear, guys? Or do
But
you have any questions?
no, I don't have.
Okay, yes. So if you guys don't have any questions, then let's proceed then with part two. Okay, so this is just my general feedback because as I said, like part one, topic is very easy and your answers are all good. So I just want you guys to work on the following. So anyway, let's move on then to our part two topic. So for part two, let me just send it in the chat. Mm, okay, here. Ah,
Mrs. I have a question.
no, sure, sure.
Is Are my answers too long for part one?
Actually, it's just fine. Your answer earlier for part three is too short for part three. But for part one earlier, your response is just fine. It's not too long, it's not too short.
Okay. Thank
Yes.
you.
Mhm. Okay, so anyway, yeah. Please turn to the chat box this time. Okay. So here you have the topic about natural place. Okay, so I'll be giving you a minute to prepare on this one. And your 1 minute starts now. Okay, time is up. So, okay, now let's turn this time to your part two responses then. Okay, so for part two, um, let's start with you, Phuc, because Josephine has started to answer in the first three parts. So let's start with your responses this time, Phuc. Okay, so you got 1 to 2 minutes, Phuc, to talk about your answer. I'll tell you when your time is up, and your timer starts now.
I'd like to talk about Hạ Long Bay, one of the most breathtaking natural wonders in Vietnam. It's located in Quảng Ninh province in the northeastern part of the country and is famous for its emerald green water and thousands of towering limestone islands. I first learned about this place from my family and also from pictures and documentaries I saw when I was younger. I've always been fascinated by its spectacular scenery, so I really wanted to visit it in person. What makes Hạ Long Bay so special is its unique landscape. There are countless limestone coasts and small islands scattered across the sea, creating a truly magnificent view. The bay is also surrounded by calm, crystal clear water, and visitors can take a boat trip or go kayaking to explore the area. I think the scenery is particularly impressive at sunrise or sunset, when the sunlight makes the whole bay look even more magical. The main reason I would love to visit there is that I want to immerse myself in nature and experience its breathtaking beauty firsthand. I think it would be a great opportunity to escape the hustle and bustle of everyday life and simply enjoy the tranquility of the sea. I'd like, I also love to take lots of photos and explore the bay by boat. Overall, I think visiting Hạ Long Bay would be an unforgettable experience because of its spectacular scenery and peaceful atmosphere.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yes, thank you. So this time, time is up. Now let's turn to your response this time, Josephine. Okay. So you got the same thing. You got 1 to 2 minutes to talk about your answer, and your timer starts now.
Well, one of the most breathtaking national parks in Vietnam that I really want to mention is Ba Vy National Park. It is located in Sunday, my current living town, and is is in Hanoi capital. And so it's a well-known place with a lot of animals and plants itself. So our local people and as well as foreign visitors from other countries always get to this special place to take photos and contemplating around. You know, um, sorry. In Bobby National Park, you can contemplate around the large forest, the green space for a variety of animals and plants to live in. Here you can feed the animals yourself and see a lot of animals such as um, a lot of rare animals such as African elephants, kangaroos, even, or you know, a lot of distinct birds. So I can say that this is a tiny zoo, big zoo in Vietnam. Um, as well as this, you can also have the chance to enjoy a lot of games such as bungee jumping or kayaking here, which will brings you a sense of tranquility and peacefulness whenever you visit this special place. Um, so at the end of the day, I enjoy Bobby National Park not only because it allows me to escape the hustle and bustle of my busy life, but it's also a special destination for local people in my current town to proud of. So I will highly recommend this play for
Okay,
anyone
yes,
wanting
time
to.
is up. Okay, yes. Thank you, Thank you for your answer, Josephine. So this time, let's move on to your answers. Okay, so please wait. Let me let me just put it on the screen or share it in the screen. Okay, here. Okay, so far, I think you guys got similar similar strengths, I would say. Like you got like a really strong response for part two this time too. Okay, so I like your responses actually. So let's talk about this one then. Okay, here. Okay, so for the natural place, okay, so you got here, for example, mountains, yeah, mountains, parks, or etc. So I think like it's safe to say that both of your responses, guys, are actually good. Okay, so that means that it's really not I like your answers because you were able to explain and develop them well. Okay, so in here, what I would just suggest for you guys to improve would be just a few things. Okay, so same with part one. I will just give like a general feedback for both of you. Okay, so let's note this thing down. Okay, about things to improve. So for the things to improve, let's talk about these things here. So, okay, of course, like number one that I would like to highlight is that please add a cohesive device. Okay, so add or use cohesive devices to link your ideas. So earlier, while I was listening to both of you, Phuc and Josephine, so the most common cohesive devices that you guys use are just and so, but only those three, because only those four rather are the most common ones that you use. Okay, now there's nothing wrong with that one because basically of course they serve their purposes. Okay, however, my concern here is that we're actually aiming for a higher score. So if in order for us to get a higher score, it would be best if we could use like more cohesive devices to link our ideas to improve the cohesion of main points. So that's very important here. Another thing that I would like to highlight is about the fillers. Okay, so avoid fillers or excessive fillers and pauses. So in here, we have to remember that in IELTS speaking, of course, pauses are just normal. Okay, so we cannot really say like 100% like flawless when speaking. But the thing is, at least we have to make it, let's say, like minimized. Okay, so we're not gonna make very long or very, let's say, like too much pauses or too much fillers because it can be very obvious, especially take note, only you or there's only one person who's speaking in this part. So what the examiner is going to do is just to listen. So all the things like the grammar lapses, the fillers, the examiner can fully listen and hear everything and for this part. So please let's try to avoid the excessive fillers and pauses to improve our fluency in a way. Okay, and then next one here would be about okay, another thing that I would suggest would be about the wait. Yeah, what I would suggest is the third one is the phrase like you know. Okay, so this is also another thing. So avoid using you know. Okay, so I think this one is we can connect this one for similar to part one discussion earlier. So for this phrase right here, again, this may make us sound let's say like or it could be like some kind of a slang or some kind of an expression that we use to make us sound like more fluent in something. However, in the IELTS exam, IELTS is actually a formal kind of test. So using the word you know, again, we cannot assume that the examiner knows something about us. So it's also like a definitely no no in this part or any parts actually in the real test. So please try to work on this one. And then wait, let me check some more. So cohesive devices, fillers and pauses, and yes. Okay, so these things. Okay, so these are the things, guys, that you need to avoid in your responses. Okay. So yes. Anyway, questions or clarifications for this discussion? Josephine, Phuc, do you have any concerns, questions, clarifications?
I think I might not have any questions.
You don't have. Okay, okay. Yes. So how about you, Josephine?
I don't have any questions.
You don't have any questions too. Okay, so if you don't have any questions, so I think we can just move on to our yeah, to our scoring this time so that we can have our discussion. So please wait. Okay. So let me just save this one. And let's move on to your scores. Anyway, we already have like an information for part three, so that next meeting we will start new. We will start fresh with our discussion. So let me open this one. Okay. So for tonight, okay, yes. Share my okay. Can you guys see my screen? Hook and Josephine, can you guys see my screen?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So yes, let's talk about your scores then. We'll start with you, Josephine. Okay. So in your case, Josephine, no, wait, let's use highlighter. Okay, here. So actually for your fluency tonight, Josephine, I'd give you like 6 for tonight. Okay. Because similar to my explanation earlier when you did your part 3, so there are parts of your part 3 that were relatively like shorter than it should be. So I think you could do better than that one, Josephine. And also about the use of connectives. You also have to work on this one as well. Okay, so let's do that one. And then for the vocabulary, actually, yes, there's a generally paraphrasing statement. However, you also have like some good vocabulary, Josephine, to discuss your thoughts. So I think like since it's 6 and 7, so automatically it will go down to 6 for this part here, Josephine. And then for the grammar, yeah, I'm gonna give you 7 for this one. Okay, so actually both feedback right here. And then for the pronunciation, it would be yeah, generally understood throughout. And then yeah, also like this one's about the 8. So here overall it's between like 6.0 to 6.5, Josephine, for tonight. Okay. So next one, wait, let me write it down. So Josephine. So I'll be giving you 6.5 for tonight, Josephine. And then another thing, another one. So let's move on to your score this time, Phuc. Okay. So let me save. And let's move on to your answers this time, Phuc. So actually tonight, Phuc, I like your responses and also the information inside your answers or the content of your answers were all good. But in general, Phuc, I just want you to keep your focus, Phuc, because I noticed like there are times that you ask me to repeat the question more than once. So we need to develop on that one. Okay, so that's just one thing. And then anyway, yeah, let's turn to your answers, folks. So I'll give you band 6 for this part. So you're willing to speak at length, okay? Although, yeah, there are some self-correction and hesitations here. And then for the vocabulary, I will also give you 6. So for both comments right here. So wide enough vocabulary to discuss and generally paraphrasing successfully. Then for the grammar here is yeah, actually there's a mix of simple and complex structures with limited flexibility. And then for the pronunciation, actually your pronunciation, folk, is also clear. So clear and easy to follow. So I'd give like a score between 7. Okay, 6 and 7 for this one. So in general, folk, I'll be giving you band 6 for tonight's practice. So what you just need to develop here, folk, I would suggest is that maybe you could try to again listen carefully for the questions. Aside for listening carefully for each questions, folk, it's also very important that you try to let's say like try to avoid hesitating for your answers because unlike Josephine, when you listen to her, you can really feel that she's very confident about her answers. Okay. And in your case, folk, there's nothing for you to be worried about because your answers are all good. It's just that because of let's say like you're hesitant to answer, so it feels like sometimes same with what I have said earlier, like your voice is fading because of that. So I think that's the main reason because there are parts that you're not very confident with your response. So please try to work on that one, folks. Okay.
All right.
Yes. Okay, so anyway, good job for both of you guys for tonight. So both of you did great for tonight. I just want to highlight about the use of, again, paraphrasing of questions, and also about the use of cohesive devices. Okay, so let's try to work on these things here. Anyway, questions. Do we have any questions?
No, for me, I
No
don't think I
questions.
have.
Okay. So okay, yeah, if you both of you don't have any questions, then that would be all for tonight. I'll see you again on Tuesday. Okay. Goodbye.
Goodbye. See you again.
Okay. Yeah, see you on Tuesday.